The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, buenos dias, bienvenidos. Welcome to our, what are we doing? A webinar on the Galapagos Islands this morning. Hi, my name's Ted. Thank you very much for tuning in. Can I, to make sure that you can hear me, can you do what's it called, the little hands up thing, please? Thank you. Hi, can you hear me? No hands up. Is that on? Just wondering if you can hear me. Can you just do a little check for us, please? Screen's not. Can you hear me? Good morning. Hello. Maybe they can't. Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me? This is Ted speaking. Hello. Good morning, bienvenidos. Just need a little hands up to see if you can hear me, so I'll continue, please. Thank you for tuning in. Good morning. Not sure if you can hear me. Sorry, I'll keep repeating myself. I just need one hands up to prove that you can hear me. Oh, thank you. I have one. Okay, let's start. So I guess you can. Thank you, Maria. Today we're going to talk about the Galapagos Islands, when I can get this move. Isn't it moving? Yeah, there it is. Okay. The islands are found about 1,000 kilometres off the Ecuadorian coast. They belong to Ecuador, and they're on the equator, of course, as you can see. So the best time is any time. That's a typical answer to travel anywhere, and in particular to the Galapagos Islands. They have two seasons, if you like. One's a dry season between June and November, our sort of northern winter time, if you are southern hemisphere winter time, but it's on the equator. And the warm season, or showery, that they have, rainy, is between December and May. And both times or both seasons are, I think, are great to visit. The islands are made up. Well, first of all, the rules. So this is really interesting because because it's like an open zoo, if you like. The animals are not afraid of us. So there's particular rules they set down, and they don't come up too close. We have to walk around them instead of they getting out of our way. So we can only come up to a certain distance. And there's a whole lot of rules that the guides from the different boats, in particular the Santa Cruz, which we're going to talk about today, will tell us. And it's common sense things like, do not disturb or remove or take food, not allowed to feed them, no smoking, no litter. You'd be surprised what people do, especially do not touch the animals. The blue-footed booby birds, which we'll talk about, they actually nest on the footpaths that we walk around in, and that's a little baby there that you can see. So the marine iguanas and the land iguanas, we can almost walk into them. So it's a sort of thing that they set up when we come into the islands, and they set your days up. The islands differ from one to another. Just briefly, there's something like 13 main islands and about 6 small ones. Then they describe the 42 islets, they call them, and 250 rocks, if you like. And these are spread over something like 53,000 square miles. 4 of the islands are inhabited, which are Santa Cruz, Isabella, Floriana, and Santa Cruz, which is up over here. Santa Cruz on the side here. 2 airports, one in Baltra, and the other one is on Santa Cruz. So you can sort of fly in and fly out of the others. The 97% of the islands is now designated a national park. That means that's 3% are only inhabited. And there's something like 25,000 people live on those 4 islands. And in the old days, the islands were used for fishing, and people were making a living out of fishing in these areas. Now that's cut back to protect the animals and the wildlife, so they now survive quite obviously on tourism. There's so many things to do and see. So our favourite operator over there designed this, the Big 15. And what we've got to do is, when you have clients that come and say, I want to visit the Galapagos Islands, if they are specifically wanting to see a particular bird or some flora, we need to sort of work out where that it is. For example, if you can see, a short example is the flamingo. And if you look at these little drawings, it's only found in 1, 2, or they are 3 islands. So if they do a cruise, they wanted to go and see a flamingo, let's say, this is just a sample, and they finish up doing a northern cruise, they might not see a flamingo. So it's us, if you can find that information out from your clients, we can then design and pick a cruise that'll see the species that they particularly wanted to see. So there's booby birds, flamingos, marine iguanas and land iguanas, sea lions, fur seals, and of course penguins. We just recently, about 4 or 5 weeks ago, had the pleasure of visiting the Galapagos Islands on my 3rd visit, and just coincidentally, this particular boat, the Santa Cruz 2, I did a cruise on this about 5 or 6 years ago, when it was used by the Australis cruise lines between Punta Arenas and Ushuaia. A beautiful boat that holds about 90 people, 50 cabins, very comfortable. And don't be afraid of, and some clients, yes, there are smaller boats, and we sell boats that carry 16 passengers and work up to 30s and 40s, and this is one of the 2 bigger boats. But what happens is they break up the people, the clients, into small groups of about 10 per zodiac and by language, and they land in different parts of the island. So as you're walking around and being guided, you actually don't have 90 people on the one spot particular. So it's cleverly designed, and it's actually a regulation by the Galapagos National Park that the people land in very small groups. It's a very comfortable boat with lots of social areas, if you like, a nice dinner area, a little small gym, and a little kids' corner. On our particular cruise, we found that this was being used by just a little lounge room where the children were entertained. The Santa Cruz, we'll just go into this area now, and most boats have they have their itineraries worked out by the research or the national park people, and they've got set itineraries that range from 3, 4, 5, 6, and up to 15 nights. In this particular case, we did what was known the Western route, which is a 4-night, 5-day cruise. Now, we landed in Baltra, did a little thing in Dragon Bay here, and then sailed across to the other side overnight. So in the morning we were here, arrived, and you land 2 or 3 times a day in some places, and we followed it around to Floriana, and then back to Charles Darwin Research Centre and back to Baltra. So that's how that particular works. So in this case, there's a northern route, which you can see through here, and a western route, which is this one, and an eastern route, which is in this area here. So, and all of them, all the different boats have these sorts of things, but they don't run into each other. As I said, it was quite impressive. I think in a distance, I saw about 2 different boats on this 5-day cruise that we were on. So this is me here with it was a fam tour that we did, and there's walking and cruising and snorkeling and diving, and it was all good fun. And of course, expert guides, and that was the main thing. The guides are really well trained. They can answer any questions, and whether it's sort of the dry, scrubbery, deserty looking, or very green. So each island differs from all those for those weather reasons. So this is the western route that we did. And so again, when you have clients and they say, look, I want to go and see the frigate bird, we've got to make sure that the cruise, so they might say, oh, look, I can only travel in the month of October, November, or whatever. So we've got to find a boat and find that that particular boat and that cruise on the 15th of April or whatever does in fact visit an island where they can see the frigate birds. So that's the sort of, so we've got all this information here. Or if they just want to go on a I recommend that they need, there are cruises for 3 nights, but why go all that way and then just do a 3-night cruise? Minimum 4 nights, 5 days or more if they can afford the time and the budget. And then so if they haven't got any particularly the requests for, say, seeing penguins, they're only found in certain areas, or the blue-footed booby birds, the land iguanas, which are this colour here, they're found quite a few places. A general cruise is just fantastic because you can see from the boat, as I mentioned before, it's like an open zoo, and there's all sorts of activities in each area. We landed in Baltra, boarded the boat, got a drill on safety and the boat itself, and then in the afternoon we did a landing at Dragon Hill on Santa Cruz, which was a pretty dry sort of area, wasn't very attractive, but that just kicked us off to start it on the tour. So every day there's and the activities are snorkeling or glass bottom boats or walking activities. I had about 3 different snorkels, which I'll talk about in a little while. So that was the western. So this is, for example, there's the Northern Islands. So you miss out on all that. And again, the list of possible animals that you'll see. So there's the sea lions, the giant tortoises that are found only in volcanic areas or at the Charles Darwin Research Centre in Port Iora. So you only can see these guys in a couple of places. You can see, while snorkeling, we saw green sea turtles. That was quite exciting too. And as I said, the flamingos are only found in about 3 different spots. So each cruise is a little bit different. If there's no specific request, just do it. It's just a fantastic sort of way of doing it. And this is on the island of Santa Cruz, where there's they just run around in the wild. A couple of the other islands where they're up in volcanoes, it's not accessible to the general public. So to land, a morning visit, an afternoon visit, and on the last day we actually had about 5 different activities, which I'll go through on our particular area on the cruise. So it's really terrific. So there are the Eastern Islands, and again, the possible, can't guarantee you're going to see everything. The spur lions, what are they called? Fur seals, marine iguanas, which are dark, and you have to really watch these because they're on the lava rocks and they turned into the same colours. And that's the land iguana there, and the birds. I've got a little cover there. Okay, so each again, it's just a duration and where you're going to visit the islands. They tell us there's beach walks. There's also, you can swim and dive off the beach and also dive off the, this is snorkeling only. There are 1 or 2 boats that do serious divings, which we can help you with also, but not particular. There's expert guides, lots of things to do and see, and you really come back to something really lovely boats. The Santa Cruz people have got 2 other boats plus a hotel, Finch Bay, on the islands, and these carried 20 guests, 40 people, guest cabins if you like. Isabella, which I inspected the other a few weeks ago, which is just beautiful, and also the La Pinta, and they have again 4 nights, and 6-night cruises, and these actually can be combined. So you can do back-to-back cruises if you like, and turn that into an 8-night, 10-day cruise. And some of their boats do have 14 nights, 15-day cruises. And every now and then we're lucky enough to get one of those bookings. So there's lots of lovely choices, and boats and the guides are just fantastic. So swimming, snorkeling, this is the sort of thing. The first snorkel we did, it was a very cloudy sort of day, and we didn't see much. And I felt the water was a bit cold, but I saw great turtles and fish. Didn't see the sharks, not in this particular case. But that's a sort of opportunity, but there's no guarantees. On Port Ayora, which is the capital of the area, there's a Charles Darwin Research Centre, and they breed these tortoises, and they're really tiny ones, and then they grow into, and as they get a certain age, they release them back on the different islands. So each island has slightly a different a tortoise, and they designate them by, they have different shells, if you like, through there. There's actually about 15 species of these giant tortoises that are found, and they're unique to the islands themselves. The iguana, this is the land iguana, and this is that's the marine iguana, and they dive in and do eat seaweed and then lay out on the rocks and warming themselves up because it gets very cold for them. And the land iguana, they eat droppings from cactus flowers, if you like, little monsters from prehistoric times. There's walking, bike riding, vegetation of all sorts, and you can have very dry islands and then very lush islands depending on the season again and the weather, whether it's raining or not. And there's things to do and see. Even in this particular area here, the guides kept pointing out all sorts of, and especially birds, is that there's something like 181 species of birds. So as you're walking around this dry-looking thing, the guides pick out all sorts of birds and animals for us to see. The islands are made up of volcanic eruptions, and then this is a classic one here. You can see the old crater and its collapse, and there's a beautiful walk in this particular area. And that's sort of just on one of the cruises that we can do. So each island varies. And every now and then there's a volcanic eruption. And there was one about 3 or 4 months ago, and there's some fantastic shots. The islands are very famous for the booby birds, and there's 3 of them in this particular area, and they are the blue-footed booby birds, which nest on the ground, the red-footed booby birds with wet feet, and they nest on in the trees, and you can come up like within arm's length of them, and being careful. And when my very first trips in the early 80s, when we arrived there, we were told this was the masked booby bird. Since then, it's now called the Nazca, as in the Nazca lines, booby bird. So there are 3 booby birds, and they're probably the most famous of them all to see. So there's just tons and tons of things to do and see for your clients, including family holidays, which is a great place for that also. The second smallest penguin, only found in a few places, fur seals, sea lions, and we swam. I snorkeled with a couple of these little guys. A bit frightening when they came right up to your mask, but they just played around with us. That was good fun. And of course, Darwin and his evolution theories came in, and it was all to do with the finches. And the finches, and there's something. I can't. No, I can't have that. I can't tell you how many, but there's quite a few of them. And he noticed that the beaks were different from one island to the other island, and that was they evolved as into what they're going to eat, and so they needed to evolve. Of course, this took hundreds and hundreds of years, and that's where he got this by observing the different finches. So if you've got bird lovers, this is absolutely a paradise too for them to come along and the bird watchers. Now, on the last day, we were packing up and about to go back to Baltra, an overnight cruise to arrive in the morning, and all of a sudden all these dolphins appeared. You just wouldn't believe that the staff could not get over. So they cancelled one of the land excursions, and we came out on the boat, and they were playing, and there was a guesstimate of about 200 to 300 dolphins. They've never ever seen this before, and that happened about 5 or 6 weeks ago, so it was quite sensational. Just a delightful way of finishing up a Galapagos cruise. It was a surprise. Can't guarantee this. This is just a once in that. We're there at the right time, the right place. So we're Contours Travel, as you know. Thank you very much for tuning in. We do anything from the Copper Canyon all the way down to Ushuaia and, of course, Antarctica cruises. We can get you some good deals and everything in between. So there's the Galapagos Islands, and we get a lot of clients who combine the Galapagos Islands with Ecuador, one of my favorite places, and then they go into the Ecuadorian Amazon jungle. So you can do a lovely 4 or 5 day cruise there and a 3 or 4 night cruise or a jungle lodge and get all that out of the way in the wish list and then continue on with their journeys. So it's an easy way of because otherwise from Peru, you've got to fly to Iquitos or down to Maldonado or to Manaus. So I want to go to the Amazon, I want to go to Galapagos, do all that, and then just continue on a beautiful journey through there. Why book with us? Because we've been doing it for over 42 years. Just been reminded today. So we've got some great operators, and then we actually guarantee our services only because of our reputation over here. We get excellent reports and back from our clients, your clients, who didn't get sick, didn't get robbed, and want to go back and see. And for me, the whole thing is to do with the people that we know over there. And they love telling us, your clients, of how wonderful South America is, especially the guides in the Galapagos and the Amazon. They're just fantastic, the product knowledge. So your trick question is, how many booby birds are there in the Galapagos Islands? And you might win a prize. Please write to us at Contours Travel, and we'll put you into a fan tour. Did we give them a trip, do we? If they're lucky? Yeah. Okay, that'd be great. Thank you very much. If you've got any questions, any queries, or anything about Latin America in particular, booby birds or animal. So if you've got a bird watcher and they want to go to see a specific bird, let us know. We'll find out the right cruise, the right itinerary, and the right time of year. Thank you very much for listening and your time, and we wish you a great day and a great weekend. Bye for now.